Stop scrolling for a moment, because what you're about to hear could completely change how you look at the future of the iPhone. This is not a small tweak. This is not a yearly upgrade story. What just leaked about Apple's next flagship feels like the end of an era and the beginning of something people have been asking for since the iPhone X first launched. For years, Apple fans have accepted a compromise at the top of the display. First the notch, then the pill-shaped cutout. We learned to live with it. We made jokes about it. Apple even turned it into a feature. But deep down, everyone knew one thing. The perfect iPhone screen was still unfinished. Now, according to multiple leaks, Apple has finally cracked the problem. And in doing so, they may have created the most controversial iPhone design decision in years. For a long time, Apple has been chasing one simple vision. A phone that is nothing but glass on the front. No interruptions. No black shapes cutting into your content. No reminders that hardware still needs space. Just a pure display from edge to edge. This sounds simple, but it turned out to be one of the hardest engineering challenges Apple has ever faced. Removing buttons was easy compared to this. Removing the headphone jack caused drama, but it was nothing compared to hiding advanced sensors behind a display without sacrificing security, accuracy, or quality. This is why the notch existed in the first place. Apple chose function over beauty. Face ID needed space. It needed a clear view. And Apple refused to ship anything that felt less secure. Fast forward to today, and leaks from inside the supply chain suggest Apple has finally done what many thought was impossible. The iPhone 18 Pro is rumored to feature full under-display Face ID. Not partially hidden, not masked, fully invisible. The Face ID sensors will sit behind the display itself. When you look at the phone, there is no pill, no notch, nothing cutting into the screen. For the first time since 2017, the top of the display looks clean. This alone would be one of the biggest design changes in iPhone history. But the story does not stop there. In fact, this is where the controversy begins. To understand why this matters so much, you need to understand why it took Apple 7 years to get here. Face ID is not just a camera. It is a complex system that fires infrared light at your face, reads thousands of data points, and builds a secure 3D map. This system needs precision. Infrared light does not behave like visible light. Your display is made of multiple layers. Glass, pixels, circuits, protective coatings. All of these interfere with infrared signals. When other companies try to place face unlock systems under the display, they had to make serious compromises. Lower resolution areas, reduced brightness, weaker security. Apple refused to go down that road. Instead, Apple reportedly developed an entirely new display material internally, known as microtransmittance glass. The name sounds boring, but the idea behind it is brilliant. To your eyes, the display looks completely normal. The same sharp resolution, the same brightness, the same color accuracy. There is no visible difference between this area and the rest of the screen. But on a microscopic level, the glass contains countless tiny channels. These channels are invisible to humans, but they allow infrared light to pass through. When Face ID activates, infrared beams travel through these channels, hit your face, and return to the sensors below the display. The screen never turns off. Nothing flickers. You do not see it happening. Of course, even with this advanced material, some signal loss is unavoidable. Apple's solution was software. Leaks suggest Apple built custom machine learning models that reconstruct and enhance the facial data in real time. The system compensates for lost light, boosts accuracy, and maintains the same security level as current Face ID. According to reports, the signal strength is improved by roughly 40% compared to early prototypes. This is not just a hardware win. It is a hardware and software breakthrough working together. This is classic Apple. If the story ended here, everyone would be celebrating. But there is one problem Apple could not solve yet. The front-facing camera. Under-display camera technology exists, but the image quality is still not good enough for Apple's standards. Photos look soft. Video looks washed out. Apple is not willing to ship a selfie camera that feels like a downgrade. So they made a decision that has split the Apple community right down the middle. Instead of a centered cutout or a pill shape, Apple is rumored to place a small circular camera hole in the top left corner of the display. Just the camera. Nothing else. Face ID is hidden. The camera remains visible. And that single design choice has caused chaos online. Some people hate it. They say it looks like every Android phone from the past 5 years. They say it ruins symmetry. They say Apple spent 7 years solving one problem only to copy a design they once avoided. They argue that a premium phone should not look like this. Others see it differently. They see it as a temporary compromise, a single generation step toward a fully invisible front. They argue that removing the pill-shaped cutout is a bigger win than perfect symmetry. They believe Apple will solve under-display camera technology next, possibly with the iPhone 19. To them, this is progress. Uncomfortable, but necessary. And honestly, both sides have a point. What makes this even more interesting is that Apple is not giving everyone this upgrade. According to leaks, under-display Face ID will be exclusive to the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max. The standard iPhone 18 will keep the dynamic island exactly as it is today. If you want a clean screen, you'll have to pay Pro prices. No exceptions. Apple is once again using display technology as a way to separate the Pro lineup from the rest. And this time, the difference is impossible to ignore. There's another twist that makes this leak even bigger. Apple is reportedly planning to change its iPhone release strategy for the first time in over a decade. Instead of launching all models at the same time, Apple may stagger releases. The Pro models would launch in the fall, as usual. The standard and budget models could arrive months later, possibly in the spring. This is a massive shift for Apple, and the reason behind it is simple. Manufacturing. The new display technology is extremely hard to produce at scale. Two major problems are causing delays. The first is color consistency. Those microscopic channels in the glass change how light passes through the display. Getting millions of panels to look identical is incredibly difficult. Apple is known for rejecting anything that does not meet strict standards. Even small variations are unacceptable. The second issue is durability. Adding microscopic passages to glass could weaken it. These displays still need to survive drops, pressure, and daily use. Balancing optical performance with strength is pushing suppliers to their limits. Samsung and LG are reportedly struggling to meet Apple's demands. Yields are low. Costs are high. Apple has a backup plan in case things go wrong. And this is the part that should worry fans the most. If manufacturing issues cannot be solved in time, Apple may cancel under-display Face ID for this generation entirely. In that scenario, the iPhone 18 Pro would ship with a slightly smaller dynamic island instead. Years of work, years of rumors, all reduced to a minor visual change. The stakes could not be higher. But imagine the best-case scenario. Imagine Apple pulls this off. Under-display Face ID ships. The pill is gone. The screen feels open and immersive. This would unlock new software possibilities. The dynamic island would no longer need to live at the top of the screen. It could become a floating element, something you move, something developers can place anywhere. Notifications could evolve. Multitasking could change. Entirely new interface ideas become possible. And the road does not end here. Leaks already point to the iPhone 19 targeting under-display camera technology. No hole, no cutout, nothing. Just glass. A phone that finally matches the vision people have imagined for years. A device that disappears when you turn the screen on. That is where this journey leads. The real question is simple. Are you willing to accept this transitional design? A corner camera hole on a premium Apple device. For some people, the answer is yes. Progress always has awkward stages. For others, the answer is no. They would rather wait one more year for the final form. There's no wrong choice. It depends on what matters to you. My honest opinion? If Apple delivers under-display Face ID without sacrificing security, this is a massive win. The corner camera may not be perfect, but it is a small price to pay for finally removing the biggest visual compromise on the iPhone. This feels like a turning point, not just for design, but for how Apple thinks about the front of the phone. Remember, these are still leaks. Plans can change. Apple could surprise us. But one thing is clear. The iPhone 18 Pro is shaping up to be one of the most important iPhones in years. Not because of specs, not because of cameras, but because it represents the moment Apple finally moves closer to the seamless device everyone has been waiting for. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with others, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the latest leaks and updates.